Hey good people, Batavia here. Rundown of the quick housekeeping items. I'm in my Chicago garden. Right now, front yard garden. I also garden in the backyard. I am in zone 6. Average last frost date in the spring is April the 17th. Importantly, average first frost is coming up on November the 1st. And we have quite a bit of work to do getting ready for fall. And also tending to all my summer plants. Let's dig in. Welcome to day 13. Okay, doke. So I've turned over and over and over in my head what I was going to plant here, and I'm going to go with peas. And my plan just hit a stumbling block, but it's fine. So I have this PVC pipe here that now I'll need to remove because I intend on putting this trellis. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow through on that. So I'll remove this for now, and it's just a matter of pulling it up, and then I'll put it on top of the cage, maybe in the backyard. And then I'm going to try to configure this trellis to plant the peas so they can climb the trellis. And I may be able to squeeze a couple other things in here, just given the way that peas would grow. So this will be the first planting of peas this year because I didn't get to it this spring. And I'm hoping to have success for fall plantings, which I've not for peas before, but you got to keep trying, right? So I am thinking that for this, I should just be able to fold it and line it up right along the cage, maybe in the backyard, which probably I won't pull it back out until next year. This is where the garlic was planted, going back to last winter, and I harvested it in July. So I'm just going to break this up a little bit. I forgot to write down. I'm pretty sure I amended this soil like maybe a couple of weeks after I pulled the garlic. So just for good measure, I'm just going to dump what's left of this compost bucket in here. Not much. And I am going to add just a little bit of granular fertilizer. And so I should have covered this with leaves to begin with, like once I amend it. That would have been the surefire signal to me that I had properly amended the bed. And also I wouldn't have had to be concerned with kind of the soil sitting and getting dry. All things considered, the soil's fine, but just as a best practice. So for things like trellises, like any trellis really, ideally you want to have it set up before you plant. Okay, that's going to work. So that way you don't have to worry about interrupting the plant growth if you're placing the trellis within the space after the plants come up. So more of the sun shines here. I'm going to put the T-post here. Okay, I'm going to try to be really careful here because this isn't the sturdiest of setups. Actually, it'll be easier. Okay, let's try that. So the peas won't climb this tall. I have a couple of different varieties, but even still. So I am just trying to minimize the work I have to do. I don't want to repair this year. I have one of these also in the cage baby, and the galvanized welded wire that I like to use is actually connected to the frame, and it's a much sturdier door / trellis But for this, at this point in the season, we're gonna go with this. So I'll just use some zip ties to connect it here. I'm just weaving this stake through the wire just to give it a little bit more support. Okay, doke. So my intention is to put up, I won't call it a makeshift trellis. It's a trellis that I'll use for the rest of the season. It probably will stay in this space, maybe even for the winter. But I want to be able to build something that's sturdy enough to hold peas as they climb, because they're not something like pole beans. I don't have to worry about like the weight of the branches and the vines and all weighing down the trellis. So it may not be the sturdiest trellis I've created, but I think it's going to serve the purpose. The bigger concern is, can I get these peas to germinate and not bolt as we get to, you know, the last bit of the heat for the summer. So I'm going to try perhaps 2 varieties, one on each side of the trellis. And that still gives me just a little bit of room to plant something that's more fall-like, you know, some radishes, maybe some lettuce. Like I can toss in some quick turning crops that don't need any protection, especially now because I have the trellis up and I don't have an easy way to like put any type of, you know, protective cloth, let's say if I wanted to plant a brassica there. And then also there's not a whole lot of space. So this is where kind of the indecisiveness of it all comes in. What do you put in? Do you need to put it in something? Absolutely not. Is it nice to put in something and take advantage of the space? Definitely. Welcome to day 15. So I don't know what this day is going to bring. I have plans with a friend this afternoon, and I was hoping this morning to get out and do some harvesting before the rain comes today. But unfortunately, the rain has come a bit early. So it started raining overnight. The ground is wet, but it's not like a measurable amount yet. So my plan again was to harvest a bunch of things, but I think right now I'm just going to check on the tomatoes. I think we're going to limit it to that. So I'm absolutely overdressed for the weather now, but I'm one of those folks. I'm checking to see. It is drizzling and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, with the high going to 77. Today with a bit of rain. So I'm one of those folks though, once I get cold, I'll stay cold for the rest of the day. So I have to take measures to kind of try to stay warm at the beginning of it all. So I see one pineapple with some color on it. Maybe I could just see how ready it is. Oh, it's pretty soft too. All right, I'm gonna make a mess of this, I know. Oh, it's starting to come down. I try to drop the spring clamps kind of where they were, so I'll know kind of just to connect them right back there. And it works most times. So the tomatoes, the plants themselves haven't taken up enough water for me to worry about like the tomato actually being waterlogged. So I'm not concerned about that. Excuse me. I prefer to use my pruners, but if it's like just a vine that I'm cutting, I'll go ahead and just use my scissors. They're a little bit sharper. I probably should look into getting some better pruners. So the San Marzonos are definitely smaller in size than the Romas. Just as a note. Squirrel just scared the bejesus out of me. I thought I saw a pretty red tomato in here. Let's see if I can get in from the other side. Okay, doke, so those are the tomatoes we've gathered. I'm gonna leave everything else as is. Welcome to day 16. So we gotta make some coffee, gotta go outside. We had just a downpour at different spots during the day, but at like 2 a.m. this morning, I was up, because that's a thing, but, and it rained for like a whole hour, just solid downpour. So on one end, gosh, I don't have to water for a couple of days. It's definitely not my containers, and probably another week for my raised beds. But on the other end, that rain with wind, which it came with, I already know I have a sunflower down. I looked out on the back porch, and those lettuce starts, I need to see if I'm sure they'll be fine. They were turned over. We'll see if there's any other trouble within the garden. But I thought I'd share, like, this is a station that I have for my veggies once we get to this time of year. Not ideal because of the heat that's in the kitchen from turning the stove on, sometimes the oven, even the hot water from the sink. But basically, once I brought in those tomatoes yesterday that we picked before the rain, thank goodness, because I know I'm going to come out, and over the next day or two I'll find some split tomatoes that are still on the vine, but that is what it is. I basically sort. So let me go grab the others. So our basket from yesterday, let me get the coffee started too. So I have a single serve Carrick. So I use the reusable pods, which I'll have to find an empty one. I also store plenty of dishes in my dishwasher. And if I'm honest, it only really gets emptied when I need to put more dishes in there. So I do a lot of hand washing. I know, just out of habit. And sometimes I have so few dishes at a time. So I'll put them in the dishwasher to dry. And then at some point I have more and more dishes in there that have dried. And all in all, like when I need to either put a full load in or I have more dishes that need to go in, that's kind of when I pull them out and put them away. So it's kind of like, if you're one of those folks, which I am sometimes, where you get dressed out of the clean clothes basket. Yeah, same idea. All right, so coffee. So do you drink coffee or do you drink tea? And do you do like roasted beans? Like, do you do that kind of coffee or just the grounds? One of my friends told me that, well, generally speaking, I keep things and I really watch the expiration dates, but some things I give myself a lot of room for, and coffee was one of them. And she recommended against like continuing to eat out of or drink out of coffee that was months old, meaning like it expired many months ago. So I have been obedient, taking the recommendation, and I essentially buy coffee like when I need it versus having like a stock of it. And it's a change for me. All right, so we're gonna see if we can get that closed. Probably take yesterday's out, yeah. Because my refrigerator, the water dispenser doesn't work, I normally keep a kettle that I've boiled water on the stove with, so I could just pour it in. These are various tomatoes that I have, just my scale, harvested over the last week or so. And so for yesterday's basket, I'll take a closer look at them. Looks like a little spot there. And I'll just put them in batches of if I think that they will last a number of days. It's kind of like if you go to the grocery store now, they have some things like, oh, ripe in 1 to 2 days, ready now, ripe in 4 to 5 days. So if it's really firm and solid, For right now, I'm just putting them in this bowl. And this is one of the, I think this is the pineapple we pulled yesterday. It's kind of soft, so I'm going to put it over here so I'll know I need to use it pretty soon. So I think I have enough to do a batch for diced tomatoes, canning those. That was one of the goals this year. These all are pretty firm. So the hope is to get to it this weekend. I am pretty particular about when I pull things off of the plants, and a lot of it is just, you know, based on timing. Will I have the time to do something with it, whether it's, you know, make a meal fresh or whether it's preserving it. So these are essentially sorted, and you know, you sort them once, you come back in, you know, this tomato now gets out of the firm bowl, is it on the side for that's a little bit more ripe. But we have an empty basket now. I don't think we'll have time to harvest this morning. Before we head outside, 2 questions. Are you all preserving what you harvest from your garden? And if so, how? What's your favorite ways, favorite dishes, bonus points? You know. And generally, do you have a system, like once you get to the point of you're about to harvest to the point of it getting inside of your house? So in my mind, I know exactly how I want this to work. Like for these cucumbers, I wanted to harvest those that morning, and this probably was over a couple of mornings, but harvest those that morning, come in and start my refrigerator pickles, not labor intensive, you know, pretty quick to it. I need garlic, onions, salt, and, you know, ideally either dried dill if I don't have, in like the best case, fresh dill. I don't have fresh dill in my garden, so if I picked up some fresh dill from the grocery store, like that's all I need. I could have got them done, but I clearly thought I had time to do that later that day or maybe even the next day, and I didn't put them in the refrigerator, which is what kind of the next best step. Leaving them on the counter like this, it's just going to exactly do this, like end up with yellowing cucumbers. The flesh of it is very likely fine. So tell me, do y'all have systems that you work with? Like, what's your process? And then what are you preserving, and how, and what are your favorite ways? I'm always looking for new ways to preserve. This is probably I started like my very first canned like pickles and peppers and things back in 2019, I think. And so each year I've done a little bit more. That was water bath canning. Over the last couple of years, I've gotten into pressure canning. I have a book I've been carrying around for fermenting that I was supposed to go through this past winter that I didn't. So I'm interested in a few different ways to preserve the harvest. But yeah, do tell. I have ears to hear. So please do share below in the comment section. And now we have just under 30 minutes to get outside. Yeah. So, all right, let's dig in. We're getting to the point where these sunflowers are starting to not look as fabulous. A lot of this drooping is from the rain, but some of it's natural drooping from the point they are kind of in their growth. This has fallen twice now yesterday. And as one of my garden friends suggested, I'm going to tie it up. I want to try to get to it before it splits, like the stalk breaks. Root system. One more for my vase. So these are growing up in between the sidewalk and the landscape timbers that kind of make this bed. So I get why sometimes with wind they end up falling over. Yeah. Trying to pull it out from the root just to save myself some trouble later. I try not to work in the garden when it's wet like this, and to that end I'm gonna have to go around this. I hope it holds until I get back. This is how much rain we got yesterday. What's that with my hand measuring system? It's probably 1.5 inches. Okay, so that's more so for the animals, but also to let my neighbor know if they're out here that I'm out here. Starting to get some true leaves. I think, this is not on our list of this morning, I think I didn't sow the dino kale down here. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So we'll have to come back in and sow those seeds or re-sow them. It's kind of hard for me to believe that this was the rain. I'm thinking that it's more like animals, which is so unfortunate. Dang it. It's frustrating. I'm gonna put this inside of the garage. It's gonna get pretty warm today. We're gonna get a high of like, 85 degrees. And so I don't want these to kind of get burned up. I'm actually gonna see if I can just plant these real quick. So I think this is the Paris Island romaine. The reason why I'm gonna take them into the garage is because since they're kind of battered and beaten up, I don't want to have to worry about, like, how should I say, like, sun damage on them. They were at the point where they were hardened off, which is why it's also unfortunate again. Remember a couple of days ago we put the lettuce starts inside of the potato bed? Like, this is the reason why. Because when you look at like this kind of damage, that's not the wind that turned it over. That was something that was scouring around in that container. So we'll see. These are the only lettuce starts that I have. I was actually thinking yesterday it was time for me to start planting them. Oh, such a pain in the butt. I don't even want to look back to see if I can capture the footage of what happened, but I probably will. What I really need to do is give these a good rinse to get this dirt off of them, and then sit them in a space where they can basically recover. And these are just empty cells. There's nothing sown in here. I planned on dropping some seeds. You see the steam coming off of the fence. One more day. I promise I had plans on harvesting that cabbage yesterday morning before it rained. So I need to get in here because we don't want these. Let's just do it now. We don't want these sitting in this water. Some germinated well, some didn't. Should have pulled these onions a couple of days ago. So look at this. This is hard for me again to believe that this is just rain. Then again, I don't know, what do y'all think? Like, could the rain have beaten this up in that way? The rain and the wind? All right, we're gonna move on. Okie doke, thanks for spending some time with me. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.